What is going on, Mountaineer Nation, college hoops fans? Bob Huggins has done it again. He has won the battle for battle. Basically, Raequan Battle is going to become a West Virginia Mountaineer. I'm here with my partner, my friend, Mountaineer Paul, and we are excited, man, to be West Virginia basketball fans today. Paul, what are your thoughts, brother?
The missing piece. This was the missing piece. We needed an athletic scoring wing to replace him at Matthews, who, while not much of a scorer, was obviously an elite defender. But this kid here is what Emmett Matthews was on defense to our offense. So he brings something a little bit different to the table. He's not quite as long as Emmett was, but close. And just as athletic, if not more. So he adds so much to the team. I'm sure he's going to play defense. Really don't know what there is out there to be said about his defense. But as far as a scoring guard goes, we got one. We've got a go-to scorer who's not afraid to shoot it. And as you want to talk about the athleticism, this kid has it in spades. Like I said in the last video, don't let him get a steal in an open dunk at the rim. It's showtime. This kid can put it down with the best of them.
Yeah, man, I love his athleticism. I love his, as we mentioned in our video when he was offered or when he visited the other day. His athleticism is just off the charts, man. The only two concerns I guess I have. Number one is defense, but there again, defense is mostly just effort, in my opinion, in most cases.
Right.
And he's going to be forced to do that even if he doesn't want to. And I think he knows what he's getting into. These guys know Bob Huggins. They know who he is. They know how he coaches. So they know
they
what
told him on
the. And if they didn't know that he expected him to play defense, they would have not came here. So I think they'll be fine. The other one, what's that?
I said exactly.
Yeah. The only other concern I guess I would have, and it's a very minor one because I'm ecstatic, but just I want to look at everything. Is this guy's an aggressive scorer? He looks for shots, looks to score the ball, and Jose Perez is kind of the same type of player. Will there be enough shots to go around for these guys? I'm sure they'll figure it out, but
think about this real quick. So you've got Kirk Risa, who is pass first guard, right? He can score. And he will take the occasional bad shot, but generally, I'm sure you can contain him in an offense with some pretty elite scorers now. When you really break it down on the offense, Jesse Edwards is not the kind of big that you feed the ball to on the block. He's more of an effort, clean up, put back dunk, pick and roll, lob dunk kind of guy. So very, very rarely do you just involve him in the offense. You do, but not on every play like you would a Sheway. So whoever plays alongside him, Trey Mitchell, is a guy who, yes, you have to get involved, but it really depends on the matchup. And I think that's why we needed this piece, is that on a night when Jose Perez has an advantage on a smaller guard, maybe you feed it to Jose that night. He loves backing down smaller guards in the lane and the paint and getting shots over his left shoulder. When you talk about a Raequan Battle, if he's got a defender that's slower on him, or if you can get the defense mixed up in a pick and roll situation where they switch and you get somebody on Battle that's not athletic or quick, he's going to take it to the rack and hammer it down. And oh, by the way, if the defense overcommits, Jesse Edwards is really good at lob dunks. So there's just so many ways when you have multiple guys that can score, rather than in the past when we've literally had to manufacture points out of defense, out of effort, or when we've had guys that can score like Javon Carter in the past, they hadn't really come into their own yet and flourished in the NBA. We're like, where was that? So we really haven't had a true go-to scorer like when's the last time you can think of? I try to think besides Oscar could have been. You look back even further, you think, was it Deshaun Butler the real last time we had a go-to guy? Maybe Kevin Jones. It's awesome. I know I rambled there, but generally speaking, I think we're going to have enough shots to go around.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And I think you're probably right. The one thing And yeah, we did get Battle, Jacob Yoho. Great question, man. But yeah, you make a fair point. I do think there'll be enough shots to go around. Hugs have been doing this a long time. He knows what he's doing. He'll figure it out. And the one thing that excites me about this, even though the one thing you heard about some of these guys, you haven't heard it about Edwards because everybody knows he's a great shot blocker and a great defender. But with Creasa and with now Battle, you've heard some rumblings about, well, these guys don't play defense. Well, like we said, I don't think that's an issue. And here's the other thing I want to get to on that point. Teams that make a deep run in March have to either be top 50 in the country in offensive efficiency or actually I think it's top 20 in the country in offensive and defensive efficiency, or they have to be elite at one or the other and at least average in the other, right? I think there's no doubt in my mind this team can be at least average defensively, but I think they can be elite offensively. And I think that is what this team has missed. Yes, they're probably going to give up some buckets. They may not guard as well as some Huggins teams have in the past, but we're going to be so good on the offensive end, I don't think we'll have to be. So I think this team has a really good chance, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but it's hard not to get excited about this. But I think this team has a really good chance, at least on paper, to make a deep run in March.
Right. I agree 100%. Civil Mark, West Virginia. Yeah, Deuce is a great playmaker, but he really left before, in my opinion, before he really came into his own. He had a chance to be one of the best players in school history, I think, had he not left for the NBA as early as he did. Right after his sophomore year, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? So, I would love to see him finish it out, play with play with maybe with Javon for an extra year if it could have happened, if Javon would have stayed. But none of it happened. It is what it is. But of course, yeah, Deuce was an awesome player. I'm not saying he wasn't. Well, he's got to start practicing with the team. Coos, what do you think about that? Because I've thought about this. This kid is a second-time transfer now. Does he fall under the same kind of rules that Jose did? Is he going to have to get a waiver? It's not something that anybody I've seen bring up yet, but it's a valid question. If not, they can start practicing pretty much as soon right after he signs. If there's no anything in the way. I've also heard some rumblings, maybe it's some academic stuff. This is on the low, but I've been told by a couple of people. So there are some things to iron out. Just don't know what they are, and I don't even know if any of those things are 100% true, if they've already been taken care of now that he's committed.
Yeah, and I don't know either. It's a great question. The only one of the big commits that have signed so far that I know of is Creasa. I don't think Edwards has signed yet, but I think Edwards.
He has. He
has
signed yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday. Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. So that's great. But, with Battle, it all of it depends on where they are with their classwork at the school they're at now. Is he set to graduate? Maybe he has to wait till after he graduates. I don't know how all that works. I don't, that would be a great question for maybe one of the media insiders or somebody like that might know the answer to that question, because I honestly don't.
Right.
But I would assume it would be pretty soon. I mean, at the very latest, you would think it would be at the end of the semester, which is right around the corner here, within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So,
and that would obviously be without coaching, I think. But isn't that how it works? Like, they could practice together all on their own, but like with coaching, I don't know. There's rules and stuff I don't know about. With college basketball, like in college football, there's a limited amount of time coaches can be with players. I don't know how it is in college basketball, but I mean, there's nothing stopping them all from going and playing big up together. There's no, I mean, I don't see,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
they can do,
and that's team building chemistry, stuff like that. So
absolutely. Yeah. And or get out there with the team managers, maybe somebody like that.
Right.
Not on the staff. I don't know how that works either, but they'll figure it out. This is not their first rodeos. They know how all this stuff works, and
right.
You've got guys like Jose and others who have transferred as well that can kind of guide them in that direction. And heck, Battle himself, this is his second time transferring, so he'll know how all that works. He'll know the rules.
Yeah.
But I'm just super excited, man. Basketball season can't get here soon enough now, man. It's almost like we've almost forgotten about football, man.
Right.
Somebody
Right.
asked about Bell. I haven't heard anything about Jimmy Bell. Have you, Paul?
Yeah. Neil Brown, I mean, and just basically what Neil Brown said. He and Hugs were supposed to have met this week to discuss the situation further. I haven't seen anything on any message boards or if any of my contacts in the media yet, but I will ask about it. Um, I think it's so far back on the list of priorities right now. It's a story, don't get me wrong, but I'm assuming no news probably means that, from what I've heard, this is a possibility that he keeps on playing football, that maybe he stays on the basketball roster NIL style and pays for it that way. Doesn't take up a scholarship spot. And I think a lot of people would be happy if that was the situation that played out, because I still think Jimmy can give us 8 to 10 minutes a night and be a really good defender and somebody that gets the offensive rebounds, which you saw he got 3 or 4 sometimes in a half. He would, so he can do that. And maybe he'll even improve his offensive game. You never know. You never know what somebody can do, and I wouldn't count out Jimmy Bell with all he's accomplished so far.
No. He's one of those guys you just love to root for, man.
Yeah.
He's impossible.
Yeah, he certainly ain't bad to have around.
Yeah. So I wish him the best in whatever he decides, but and I'm wondering too, with Dylan Ray leaving the football program, will does that open up a scholarship spot for Jimmy on the football team? Who knows? Be interesting to see.
Good point. Good point, man. And we got to really hand it that. Now, listen, Huggins is getting a lot of this credit, but I think we all know. Let's give Jay Cooch 30 or 40% of the credit as well. Hugs is obviously getting probably most of the money raised, and his obviously the stature, the truck, all that stuff. A huge reason why kids come here, the biggest reason. But Jay Coots has positioned himself. People are going to be watching this. He's going to be highly sought after, probably after this year. I would be surprised if he's not in some head coaching discussions going forward with the way he's handled this situation here. He literally, he handed him the keys to a brand new truck. Somebody else was basically handling this situation before him, and he has absolutely blown anybody previous to him out of the water with this transfer situation. Now, Shane Lyons impacts that discussion. Not saying he doesn't, but Jay Coots deserves a lot of credit. This kid entered the portal, didn't schedule not another visit with Kansas, Tennessee, Gonzaga, Michigan State, name it. They wanted this kid. They get him to West Virginia. The only visit that he had was West Virginia. He leaves West Virginia, doesn't take another visit, and becomes a Mountaineer. That's big time, man. And this is a top 17 kid, in the portal out of 2,000 players. This is a big time get.
Absolutely, it's a big time get. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't also credit Trust for doing what they and helping get NIL money for these guys, man. Because we know that's playing a part in these decisions. Jesse Edwards even admitted it. Yes, it wasn't the primary factor, but it was a factor. So, Country Roads Trust is.
We lost Coos for a second, guys. Well, this would be a good time to say, if you're not subscribed to Hoops from the Hills, hit that subscribe button. If you're not, obviously a lot of you guys are commenting, but if you haven't commented and you want to get in there, drop a comment below. And also like the video. But guys, as you can see, we really love the Mountaineers. We love the basketball squad. Hit a subscription button for us. If you're not subscribed, why ain't you? Coos, throwing it back to you there, man. Sorry.
Yeah, man, I don't know what happened there, but anyway, where I'm on my phone, I had a call come in, and I think that interrupted the stream. But anyway, I was just saying hats off to Country Roads Trust and what they're doing. We know that plays a role in some of this. They're doing a great job over there as our NIL collective at West Virginia, getting money and getting NIL deals for these young men and young ladies, too, that are in the female sports side. But right now we're focused on men's basketball, and they're getting these guys money. And, got to tip the hat to them.
Yeah, Zach, my buddy Zach, Zach and I know each other personally. Greasy Battle, Perez, Mitchell, and Edwards. That's probably a likely combination. Um, it'll be interesting to see. I was talking to somebody earlier. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Omar Silverio. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, but if you haven't watched Silverio's tape, he's kind of been buried in underneath a lot of these transfer additions as maybe the least valuable. I think some people think he can end up being a lot more valuable than you think. Go watch some of his tape if you get a chance when he was at Hofstra. This is a guy that has touched 40% from three in his career at points through 10 and 11 game stretches. Just wanted to throw Omar Silverio out there and get him some love. I really do think he's going to make an impact next year. I don't know about a starter, but I think he's going to play close to starters minutes.
Yeah, and Paul, has he signed already?
You know, I haven't seen that announced,
Okay.
but I haven't been looking for it like I was these last two. No offense to Omar. I just assumed.
Right.
I'll ask about that. I'll ask about it.
When somebody asked that question earlier about Battle and the other guys, it made me think, and you were mentioning him, and it just dawned on me. I don't know if he signed yet, but like we just assumed they do, but there's sometimes a gap between the commitment and the signing. So, I was just curious. Knew that, but
yeah.
And I can't help but wonder too, and it's, not to get too negative here, but and I think we all kind of know it is what it is, but how many guys, this could lead to losing some guys in the portal. Maybe we lose a Seth Wilson. Maybe we lose a Kobe Johnson, or Josiah Harris. I don't know. I hope not. I'd like to see all these guys stick around because we need those guys that have been in the program for a couple years. But you know what?
I agree.
Also, if they do decide to leave, I wish them the best. They've represented Mountaineer Nation well. And Brad Smith just answered the question for us. Silverio has not signed. Potential NIL walk-on. Okay. I appreciate that, Brad. Thanks for chiming in on that, man.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. So that's an interesting thing there too. So similar to what we were talking about with Jimmy Bell. But even so, if we do lose some of these guys, I think we're so hot in the portal right now. Obviously, just from what small sample size we had with NIL and the portal and returning and retention, that part of it too. I think some people think that there has to be a mixture of retention and signing a heck of a class. But so we don't want to lose anybody. I get that. But if we do, there's so much excitement around this team right now. I have no doubt now that they can go out and get a top 50 player, to replace them with. And I'm not saying that's desired in an outcome because I love Josiah Harris. I love Seth and I love Kobe too. But there are maybe not better fits, but more talented players out there to go get if they leave. So,
well, yeah, you're right. But like I said, I don't know that we would need to. I mean, we're already going to be at our scholarship number already, I think. You know what I mean?
We have one more. We got one more from what I understand.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, but like I said, I think it is important to have those guys on the roster. And I think you agree with me because we've talked about that before. To have those guys that have been there, know what to expect, and can help.
Especially Joe.
Yes, especially Joe. And I think Joe Toussaint, I think we're sleeping on him a little bit.
I love that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what made me think about this, what I'm getting ready to say. I think we're sleeping on that guy a little bit because think about this. He announced he was coming back. We were all excited, right? But that has been overshadowed now by all these other guys coming in. And even though he's probably happy about getting these guys because he wants to win, the competitive part of him is probably like, you know what, they're not talking about me. They're overlooking me. They don't, I'm tired. I'm hearing about Silverio and Perez and Battle and Creesa. What about Joe Toussaint? And he's going to have something to prove, and he's probably going to play with a chip on his shoulder a little bit, which is going to make him even scarier, in my opinion.
That is a terrific point that really can't be understated. I like what you said there. So I love what Randall Lowe said here. Hugs having the Hall of Fame thing attached to his name, there is no doubt that it's helped with recruiting. A kid that can go home and say, Mom and Dad, I'm playing for a Hall of Fame coach. It's a big deal. And there's
Absolutely.
only a handful of those guys out there. Most of them are retired or are retiring. Jim Boeheim just left. There's one. There's one that's gone and retired. These guys are falling off, and you've got the guys that are making their names that will eventually be Hall of Famers, but aren't yet. But Hugs is, and he can certainly toss that weight around, and that's why the bank account has been reacted like it has been, and also the portal side of things, which has been a great marriage.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to take a second. Brad Smith was on here. I don't know if he's still on here or not, but Brad is obviously runs the Voice of Morgantown site and everything. And I know a lot of people, Brad's kind of polarizing. I get that. And a lot of people don't like him. But guys, he's been writing some really good stuff on these basketball portal guys and what's going on with the basketball program. Go check out some of it. Like I said, I know some of you don't like him because of whatever he's written in the past or whatever, but he has written some good stuff lately, and I recommend you go check it out. But anyway, not everything he does is negative and bad. So I want to give him a shout out. But yeah, Rich Finster, I want to get to that comment. Don't forget to hit the like, and if you're not subscribed, Rich, man, we appreciate that so much. This channel has garnered even more support than we ever envisioned. When we started this thing, we knew we had a chance to grow it, but we didn't know it would grow as fast as it did. I mean, we're almost at 700 already, and we just started the channel at the beginning of basketball season. So we can't thank you guys enough for the support.
Yeah.
And it just means a lot, man. I don't really know what else to say, but we
Well,
appreciate it.
And we need the subscribers, guys. It's, very small part of that is we want to monetize the channel, of course. Everybody wants to. That's a goal for every content creator. But even more so, the bigger our channel gets, the better guests we can pull in. I have to work my little butt off, and Kuz does too, to get what we get. The Chase Harlows of the world, things like that. Other guys, talking to Jordan McCabe just a day or two ago. Guys like that are hard to come by, especially when you've got, such a little bit smaller of a channel that's growing. A lot of people aren't really interested because they think, they're not going to get much exposure. So just saying all that to point out that we really appreciate the subscriptions, and the faster we grow, the better content we're going to provide.
Yeah, great. Very well said. Very well said. And we can't. There are other companies out there, and more power to them. God bless them, that are able to pay people to come on their shows. We can't do that. So, like Paul said, we have to really go out and
sell ourselves.
Yeah. But anyway, enough about us, man. Enough about us. We are there again. We're tickled to death to have Raequan Battle coming to Morgantown. If you haven't yet, please go watch his highlights. They will absolutely blow you away. I was blown away within 10 seconds of pushing the play button. I mean, it was just, I was like, oh, we got to get this guy. He's one of the most exciting players I've seen on tape in a very long time. If you take, put it this way, if you take Eric Stevenson and give him about a 42-inch vertical, you've got Raequan Battle. That's what we're getting, in my opinion. What do you think about that comparison, Paul?
His comment took me off guard, man.
What's that?
He said he'll watch as much as he can as long as I'm wearing a hat or toboggan. Because I think I came that one time without one, and people were like, "Who the hell's that guy?" Yeah, he's a freak athlete. That's why we labeled our last video "Freak," because he's a freak. I mean, this kid is, and listen, he's got a great story. Grew up on an Indian reservation. I think he didn't grow up like a lot of kids grow up, and he was able to appreciate simplicity. And really, I think that, a guy like that probably doesn't have a hard time getting in the gym, working on his game, detaching, removing himself from things. Just little tidbits I've read. He's very well spoken. Like I can go on and on and on about him from a character standpoint. Big fan of his. So really excited about him, like you said. But man, yeah, if you haven't watched the tape, Go watch the tape. Man, his tape's great. If you like highlights, I would argue he's got a right now college basketball, probably a top 25 highlight tape. He's really good.
Mhm.
I watch a lot of highlight
Yeah.
tapes though.
Yeah, Paul watches a lot of tape. He and I kind of have a running joke with each other. He'll send me a thing and be like, "Dude, have you watched the tape?" And I'm like, "No, Paul, I haven't watched the tape," because he's
Yeah.
watched it 100 times already. And then if I send him one that says, "Have you seen this tape?" and I guarantee he'll say yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's a tape guy, and I've
Love
never
that
really been
tape.
one, but he's turning me into one a little bit. He's rubbing off on me.
Yeah. Well, because it gets you prepared, man. And if you guys are like we are, and you love to talk that language, and you love to speak like the coaches do. Now, look, I'm not saying I'm a coach, nor do I have the credentials to be a coach, but I understand their language and I love talking like it. It's something I think is really fun and love. I love it's just their own language, and once you learn it, you can speak it. Kind of gives you some credibility too, and especially if you understand it. You got to understand it.
Yeah,
So, uh, my thing, I love watching tape, man, and breaking it down. And
yeah,
once you watch enough, that's when you start to get into the eye test. You can start really comparing based off all the tapes you watched. One player against another, and it gives you a really good eye for somebody that may be good or not good or better than people think. Let me get off my tape soapbox here.
yeah. I hear you about it. Well, guys, listen. We don't have a whole lot of time to do this. I'm gonna I will stop to eat my lunch today, and I've got to get back on the road. But obviously, Paul's welcome to go as long as he wants to. But um, we just want to jump on here real quick and address the addition of Raequan Battle. Great pickup for Bob Huggins and his staff. Makes things very exciting. And Blake Green, yes, I do plan to do a video about that at some point, I hope, which is another reason I want to get on the road so I can get home and do that, actually. So, but anyway, we appreciate the support here, guys. We got over 50 eyeballs on this thing here, 1:40 something in the afternoon. And I mean, thanks again for the support. We love you guys. We can't wait to bring you more content here on Hoops from the Hills. Paul, do you have any last words?
I'll probably stick around for a little bit, and talk a
Okay.
little bit more with
All right.
everybody
That'll
after
work.
you bounce. I know you got to get home, but
Yeah,
I'll stick around and talk to the people for a little bit.
absolutely.
Uh,
Do that.
Care to drop your cash tag in there, Coos? If you guys want to donate to the channel anyway, we're not monetized yet, but every now and again, one out of every 3 or 4 lives, we'll drop our cash tag in there. Uh, that
We
way, in
won't do it
case you do want to donate to the channel,
because I'm
just
on my
say it
phone.
audibly. Just say it audibly. Then
Well,
it's no
yeah,
big
well, never
deal.
mind. I figured it out.
Oh, okay. I hate it. Coos does too. We don't even like to ask about it, but man, we invest a lot of time and effort in these channels, so won't say much more about it after he drops the cash tag in there. All on you guys. Really appreciate it. And
Yep.
yes, we do wish Coos safe travels, man. We love you, bro.
Y'all
Miss you.
stick around. Y'all stick around and talk to Paul. But I got to roll. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Paul, we'll talk to you
everybody's
later,
probably
brother.
gonna leave now that you leave, Coos.
No, they're not. No, they won't.
See you later, man.
Later.
Yeah, I heard